outside. Leedy gets the wheel underneath. Down the back straightaway, Chet Bennett set wall. Eddie Bellinger into the wall in the 28. The yellow flag comes out. No laps completed. Brought the rear end around and took it nose first into the outside wall in turn 3. We can see Eddie already moving in the car. He is getting out. Bellinger is out of the car. He is okay, but there is extensive left front damage on the number 28. That is the Lee and Candy Dolan car. Bellinger had started third row on. And now starter Bruce, a very timid pace out there. The number 3 of McLaughlin, 09 Tomato. McLaughlin had gotten the jump on the first start. Starter Bruce Lee looks him over. They pound the hammer coming off the corner. Green flag is out. And once again, it's McLaughlin jumping out in front. Tomato this time sets in second. Chet Bennett out of shape. Bennett makes the save going into turn 2. But he dropped. Mills has to run the Concy. Down the front straight, McLaughlin out in front. Jamie to the Jet Tomato running set. Cars will redraw for their feature starting spot. So it's very important to finish in the front 4 positions. 2 laps have now been completed. Down the back straightaway, Mike McLaughlin hangs on out in front. Jamie the Jet Tomato running second. Look at Shepard and Treichler. They close back up on the leaders now. It's a 5-car battle down the front straightaway. McLaughlin out in front. Tomato second. A little pump of smoke out of somebody's car going into 1 in the lead group. Chad Leedy still hanging for it. Gets back down to the groove. Hangs on to the number 4 spot. Your leaders running 19-18 on that last lap. Tony Jankowiak, Tom Forgione, Tom Ulrich, Manley Mossberg, and Jim Jeffers out of the money right now as they run out of the top 6. The front 6 staying just the way they have run the entire race with Mike McLaughlin out in front. It is Shepard once again is closed right up behind leading. And the 74 of Roger Treichler runs right there 5th. Treichler swings to the outside. He tags the 34 in the tail. Had to back out just a little bit. Down the back straightaway, Shepard runs high. Treichler tries to get a wheel underneath. Can't do it. Coming between 3 and 4. Down the front straightaway again. It is still Magic Shoes McLaughlin. Here's Treichler looking low underneath Shepard. Jamie Tomato hangs on to just a little bit of smoke coming out of the engine. Tomato's 09. Jan Leedy has dropped back about 3 car lengths off the pace. Ronnie Shepard troubles him back there in 4th. Shepard looks underneath, hit by the hole. Has to set back in 4th. Roger Treichler still running 5th. Shepard now again looks low as Tomato looks underneath McLaughlin. McLaughlin out in front of the number 3, the 09. Tomato running 2nd. Jan Leedy 3rd. Ronnie Shepard 4th. Roger Treichler in 5th. They stay just that way. 10 laps have now been completed. Your leader running 19 seconds on the nose that last lap. Follow the leader, the front 5, bumper to bumper. Down off the corner, 11 laps complete. The white flag is out. Here's Tomato, looks underneath McLaughlin. Can't get through. McLaughlin hangs on to the lead. 09 Tomato running 2nd, Leedy 3rd, Shepard 4th, Treichler 5th. Treichler looks underneath Shepard again. Shepard goes to the outside. Down the front straight, the checkered flag, the win to McLaughlin. McLaughlin gets the win. Tomato finishes 2nd. Leedy is 3rd. Shepard in 4th. And Roger Treichler finishes 5th. Chet Bennett and beer also to be awarded. And 2 Burger King Whopper meals. How about a nice hand, the winner of heat number 1, Mike McLaughlin. McLaughlin puts the BR to win hat on. Jacket in hand, the photos about to be taken. Magic Shoes picking up the win in heat number 1, so he's in the feature. And Chet Bennett, they are the front 6.
Rather slowly into that 4th turn. Aces hold them together. Kent dragging his feet back there. Green flag finally comes out. And Gary Ewell with a Southgate Oil 88. George Kent on the outside. And now let's see if he drops it back into the groove to take that. that fourth turn, and look at them side by side. Don Pratt of Lima occupies the third spot. George Brunhausel back there in fourth. The top four finishers redraw for their starting spots in the feature go here in the Port City 150. But Gary Ewell holds the lead over George Kent after 2 laps. Fourth corner and down the chute. Brian Ross now occupying the last qualifying spot, and we've got a spin up there between 3 and 4, and the boys get on the binders. White, green flag coming out in between the turn, and Gary Ewell right on it. Gary Ewell out of Sanborn, the Southgate Oil, 88. And George Kent right there. George spots room underneath. Can't do it, and he shuts him off. Back down, and the 88. Getting out there a little wide. And now a puff of smoke coming from Gary Ewell's car. Gary Ewell in the 88. Leaves George Kent, lots of room, but George Kent gets the mighty knee. Don Pratt back there in the number 3 spot with the 08 of George Brunhausel running in fourth. The top 4 redraw. Now on the outside is the 2X of Jeff Fuller. And Fuller locks bumpers there, gets boxed in, and he drops completely out of a qualifying spot. Gary Ewell in the lead. Kent right there second. Now the 08. Your 2 leaders, Gary Ewell and George Kent, bumper to bumper. Now the one of Randy Hedger up in a qualifying spot. Just out of the money is Doug Hewitt. Your first 2 tight together as they come down to complete the 9th lap. 3 laps remain here. The 08 of George Brunhausel. The 5. Charlie Jarzombek out of Baiting Hollow, Long Island. Charlie, a top runner in the island area. Here goes Kent again trying to put his nose under. But Gary Ewell hangs on. Winner of the Budweiser Modified 200. The last big modified race here last Labor Day weekend. White flag is out. And in those turns, Kent with lots of room, but can't quite get the biting knees to poke it home. Here they come, down to the finish line. And the 88. Gary Ewell tops the win. Doug Hewitt right there second. The 08, George Brunhausel, finishing in third spot. Charlie Jarzombek fourth. The 69 of Brian Ross in fifth, and Randy Hedger in sixth. Here he is coming out of the car. How about a hand for him, ladies and gentlemen? Gary Ewell. Pictures being taken down there.
The number 31 of Joe Mamalito. Joe Mamalito in the 31. On the outside, the number 72 coming in from Barton. That is Floyd Wallace driving the pace car. The R.M. Burridge Chevrolet Camaro Z28 back here in that front row. 16, a Dick getting on it, coming off that fourth corner. Bruce Lee looks him over. He's got the green out there. And it's Dick Clark jumping out in front. He drifts wide down here in one, and we got a car sideways. That's the 40 of Larry Edwards. 40 of Larry Edwards brought out the yellow starting at the rear. Picking up the pace again early, coming off the corner. Down we go. Green flag is out. This time it's Tom Richards jumping out in front. Griffin on the outside, but the yellow comes out again. The yellow is out. A bad start. The car is jamming up a little bit down the back straightaway. The yellow coming out for a bad set the pace, and Richards to stay with him. That's the way it should be. Bruce Lee points the yellow flag down towards turn 4. He looks the field over as they come slowly this time down the front straightaway. Here's the green. Richards jumping out in front. No, he does not. Clark got the jump on it, but it's Griffin off the outside, and Bodine from that third row down the back straightaway moves into second. Bodine from 6th to 2nd, just like that, as apparently Dick Clark missed a shift. It is Billy Griffin out in front. Bodine 2nd. Clark running 3rd. Mamolino hangs on to 4th. Richard Mamolino way wide down there at 4th. He gets back down to the groove. Lost some ground. As Edwards rides the high road, he moves up into 5th now. Coming by both Tom Richards and Brian Horn. Dick Kluth back in 7th. Bob Shannon running 8th. Down off the corner now, down the front straightaway, it is Billy Griffin out in front. Brian Horn way wide in 4th. Down the front straightaway, Mamolino trying to get underneath Dick Clark. He's got a wheel in there. Clarkey stuck on the outside. Going to black flag the 40 of Larry Edwards. Some problem picked up by track officials, and the 40 of Edwards is going to get the black. Billy Griffin out in front, 4 laps down, 8 to go. Running second is Brett Bodine. Joe Mamolino hanging on to just out of the money. Down the front straight, they put a lap on the 91 of Dick Shear. 1865. That's the fastest modified lap we've had today. 1865 for the Art Mosca number 18, driven by Billy Griffin. Griffin out in front. Bradford Wayne Edwards on the outside of Mamolino. Down into turn 1. Edwards on the outside. Mamolino holds the low groove. They run 3rd and 4th. Dick Clark in the 16 is still 5th. The 20 of Brian Horn, the 6th and last qualifier. Dick Kluth right now running in 7th and in the conceit. 18-7 the last time around. Edwards tries again to get by Mamolino. Drifts a little bit high up here in turn 1. Mamolino and Edwards run lap after lap, side by side. Joe Mamolino runs a steady groove down low. Edwards on the outside. Now backs off just a little bit. 1886, that lap, and again Edwards to the outside. Trying to come by Mamolino. That's the battle right there. Wayne Edwards and Joe Mamolino side by side down the back straight. 3 laps in a row. They run it together. The white flag is out this time. Billy Griffin out in front of the number 18. Brett Bodine running 2nd. The white flag. 5th is Dick Clark and Brian Horn 6th. Here's the checkered flag. The win to Billy Griffin. Griffin picking up the win in the number 18. 2nd is Brett Bodine. Mamolino 3rd. Wayne Edwards 4th. Dick Clark 5th. And Brian Horn the 6th and final qualifier. Everybody else has to run the conceit. Whoa, puff of smoke. Mamolino battled all the way. Dick Clark finished 5th and Brian Horn 6th. Here he is, the winner of heat number 3. How about a nice hand for Billy Griffin? He picks up his B.R. DeWitt jacket and hat from Sharon Vecchio. And a case of Pabst Blue Ribbon beer, a Burger King Whopper meal. The top 4 will redraw for their feature starting position in the B.R. DeWitt.
Remember, only 6 cars will qualify for the Port City 1 Fissman Hewitt leading the field. They'll be charging here out of that 4th turn when they spot the green flag. They come up nicely. Green flag is out from Bruce Lee, and Hewitt grabs off the lead. And trouble right here in the straightaway, the 98 of Darrell Lewis, or the 10 of Lewis, rather. And the front end, as you can see, opened up a little bit, a flat right rear. So the 98 of Jim Jeffers of Buffalo will go on the hook. All right, picking up speed. The green flag is out. And again, Hewitt takes it out into the lead. Dougie Hewitt in the 52. Down they come, and remember, 6 cars qualify. Tony Jankowicz out of Tonawanda in the 93, back there in 3rd spot. It looks like a couple of the cars being brought in here. Hewitt trying to open up some room on the 50 of Tom Ford Jones. Jankowicz back there in 3rd. The 27 of Dick. And the 62 of Don Panablima, running 6th. 6 cars qualifying. Hewitt in the lead, passing flag for the Ford Jones right there in the number 2 spot. The 93 running 3rd, Jankowicz. And the deuce of Fuller moving up into the number 4 spot now. Dick Booth in 5th, Don Pratt 6th. And the 2X moving strong as he makes the move. Fuller out of Shrewsbury, Mass. Doug Hewitt in the lead. Ford Jones right there in the number 2 spot. Jeff Fuller running 3rd and reeling them in now. Let's see, 2 laps to go. Hewitt and Ford Jones. And Fuller making a move. He's really gained some ground on the 2 leaders there after he took over that 3rd spot. Here they come. Swinging to the outside, lap traffic in front of them. The white flag is out there, and Fuller putting a move on the 50 of Tommy Ford Jones. They're on their way. The last lap here. Coming on to the slower cars, let's see. Hewitt swings wide, he gets the win. Ford Jones is 2nd. The 2X of Jeff Fuller in 3rd. Jankowicz in 4th. The 27 of Cluth 5th. And the 62, Don Pratt of Lima. With a case of Pabst down there, or...
Scuffing up the tires. Field down the front straight right now, just really getting their oil warm, a little heat into the tires. And I expect we'll see the white flag next time. Action next time around. A beautiful field of 24 of the best modifieds. Right here, set to go for the Port City 150. Starting on the pole, the number 3 of Mike McLaughlin, the Len Bowler car. Outside, it's the 34, the Magic 34 of Ronnie Shepard. Row 2, Charlie Joe Merkling has the flags ready. He looks them over, brings them on. The green is out. The Port City 150 underway. Jumping out in front, it's the number 3 of McLaughlin. Shepard on the outside, tries to put a wheel alongside as Jarzombek fills the hole underneath. Down the back straightaway, the field strings out, and whoa, it's Jarzombek! And Billy Griffin way up in the air, a massive pileup in turn 3. A massive pileup started when Charlie Jarzombek got out of shape. The red flag is out, about half the field involved over there. We don't know how seriously anybody is damaged, but the 18 of Billy Griffin took a tremendous ride way up in the air. The 18 of Billy Griffin, the Art Mosca car. Brian Horn already takes the 20 into the pits. The red flag is out. as a bunch of cars got together in turn 3, and fortunately a lot more than we had anticipated.
There's really shaken up down here, an awful lot of cars coming together. The bad news, Billy Griffin in the 18 has been badly shaken up, and also it looks like Gary Ewell has taken quite a rough ride up here. A lot of damage to the cars, and as far as we can tell, those the two drivers that are severely shaken. Also, Dick Clark in the 16 appears to have been injured as well, and looks to me like Fuller is out of the two and walking away. But again, all three drivers up here, other than Fuller, are still in their race cars. I can see now that Dick Clark is moving around. Clark appears to be okay, although he has really been dazed. And now we're coming down to take a look in the 88. The helmet is off, and Gary Ewell is moving around. He is okay. So Ewell, who is really shaken up, is conscious, as is Dick Clark. They're both still in their cars. They are now still talking with Billy Griffin and looking at the situation there as the track medical crew now has the visor off, and we can see Billy Griffin's eyes moving. And I think that he is conscious, and they're about to take the helmet off. So I would think that all the drivers out here are just coming around right now. None of them appear to be seriously injured. Griffin now starting to come out of the car under his own power with just a little bit of help from the crew. So all three drivers really shaken up, but all three, it would look like to me, are going to walk away from their race cars once the dust clears. And now I see here comes Ewell out the left side. Ewell coming out under his own power, and Griffin coming out the right side of the 18. Dick Clark still sitting in his car.
He's got to hustle as they're coming down for the start of this race. And the yellow flag coming back out. The yellow flag coming back out as the cars got 3 and 4 wide coming out of the corner. So there was never a start. The yellow flag into turn 3. A very conservative pace being set by pole setter Mike McLaughlin, and keeping pace with him on the outside, the 34 of Ronnie Shepard. Here they come now, picking it up down off the front straightaway. The green flag back out. And again, it's the number 3 of Mike McLaughlin jumping out in front. Here's Leedy underneath, trying to take over the number 2 spot. Shepard runs high on the outside. They stay bunched together. Bodine down low, going between 3 and 4. Shepard going for the lead on the outside, trying to pull up alongside the number 3 of McLaughlin, but he swings high. Shepard now, as Leedy got a little bit high going into 1, gives some breathing room to the 34 ahead of him, takes a little pressure off, and Shepard now sets down in second behind the 3 of Magic Shoes, Mike McLaughlin. On the outside, Jamie Tomato in the 09, looking for racing room. He's around the 85 of Jan Leedy. Now Bodine swings to the high side. Brett Bodine in the number 12 on the outside, down the back straightaway, trying to take over 4th from Leedy. He gets it, going into 3rd. Now the 26 of George Kent as they shuffle. Leedy towards the rear. Down the front straightaway, Magic Shoes Mike McLaughlin. Out in front of Ronnie Shepard. Jamie Tomato running back in 3rd. The 12 of Brett Bodine is 4th. George Kent hangs on to 5th. Jan Leedy running in the number 6 spot. On the outside, it's the 69 of Brian Ross. He's trying to move into the top 5. Ross now gets by Leedy as Leedy gets shuffled to the rear, and watch out, trouble with the 74, the yellow flag. Charlie Jarzombek. 4 laps have been completed. The speedy dry going down right in the groove down in turn 1. Heavily down the back straightaway. We'll have to keep our eyes on that car. Jamie Tomato back in 3rd. Brett Bodine running 4th. Green flag is out way over in the corner. Here we go. They catch it. Coming down the front straightaway. Let's keep an eye on the 34, the engine of that car. Puffing smoke just a little while ago, but seems to be clean now. Jamie Tomato runs back in 3rd. Brett Bodine is 4th. George straightaway now, completing 5 laps of the 75-lap feature event. Mike McLaughlin, the race leader. Ronnie Shepard running. Brian Ross in the number 69, back there in 6th. as they come down the front straightaway. Jan Leedy is 7th. Doug Hewitt has come from the Concy spot all the way up to 8th. Wayne Edwards in the 48 is running 9th, and the 31, Joe Mamolito, is back there 10th as they get back to racing speeds now. We got the clocks on them coming down the front straightaway. 19:28. Not a particularly good time, and once again a big puff of smoke out of the 34 of Ron Shepard. That car continues to show signs of engine wear. Here's Tomeno looking low again, coming off the corner. Down the front straightaway. Lenny Muller's car number 3, Magic Shoes Mike McLaughlin setting the pace. The 34 of Ronnie Shepard. Here's Tomeno now. He gets a wheel underneath Shepard going down into 3. Shepard slams the door shut. Hanging on to the number 2 spot. Tomeno running 3rd. Brett Bodine right there 4th in the Sherry Cup number 12. George Kent's 26th is running 5th. The 69 of Brian Ross in 6th. 85, Jan Leedy is 7th. The 52 of Doug Hewitt 8th. 48, Wayne Edwards 9th. To the 31, Joe Mamolito in 10th. But the front 9 are running bumper to bumper. The front 9 with no room to spare. Mamolito just a little bit off the pace in 10th. Here's Brett Bodine. He's going to the outside. Bodine alongside the 09 of Jimmy Tomeno. Bodine looking to run. Tomeno, puff of smoke out of his engine, and a spin in the corner. Vecchio, Jarzombek, and Vecchio's car, Randy Hedger driving, got into the wall a little bit hard, and also getting in the 08 of George Brunhosel. Mike McLaughlin, the race leader. Ronnie Shepard running 2nd. The question is, who's in 3rd? And they say at the last fully completed lap, 09, Jamie Tomeno was 3rd. The number 12 of Brett Bodine 4th. In the lead. We're not quick this time. McLaughlin catches it as it comes out. Off the corner down the front straight. Jamie Tomeno goes to work immediately on the 34. Here's Bodine. He's got a wheel underneath Tomeno. Bodine down in the corner working on 3rd. The 08 George Brunhosel back on the track. Georgie Kent tries to keep Tomeno trapped to the outside. Bodine in the number 3 spot. Now Kent is through there to take over 4th. Tomeno falls back into 5th. Brian Ross still running 6th. A little puff of smoke also coming out of the engine of the 09. 09 down the front straightaway. Bodine gets a wheel underneath. Bodine is solidly in the number 2 spot now. Shepard on the outside. Kent running back there in 4th, trying to keep Shepard pinned outside, and Tomeno tries to fill the hole also. But Shepard runs tough out there. He is staying right even with the 12 of Brett Bodine. Meanwhile, Mike McLaughlin pulls away out in front. He's opening the lead. Bodine underneath Shepard now. Finally gets solidly into 2nd, and George Kent tries to follow him through the hole. Kent now on the inside of Ronnie Shepard in the 34. Down the front straight, Mike McLaughlin out in front. Brett Bodine 2nd. The battle for 3rd between George Kent and Ronnie Shepard. Jamie Tomeno in 5th. Brian Ross is 6th. And Wayne Edwards takes the 48 rapidly into the pits. Wayne Edwards takes the stump jumper into the pits, the number 48. Your leader running 18-8 as the 34 of Shepard, the 09 of Tomeno come together down here in 1. Shepard staying on the outside. He's pedaling as fast as he can, but they got him pinned out there, and they're nailing him one after another. Now it's Brian Ross working on the 34, and Shepard cannot get back in the groove. Finally he does, but he has gone from 2nd all the way back to 5th. Your race leader still Mike McLaughlin. Brett Bodine trying to chase him down in 2nd. George Kent running 3rd. Jamie Tomeno and Ronnie Shepard 4th and 5th. Here comes Brian Ross. He gets a wheel underneath Shepard and takes over the top 5 spot. Brian Ross now the tire. George Kent lost the tire between 3 and 4. He went spinning wildly over into the corner. There's the 34, Ronnie Shepard now. He's into the pits with a flat right wheel. You know, they're looking at the lights. There's the green. Coming down off the corner, Brett Bodine right in behind. Magic Shoes, Mike McLaughlin. Two of the young Chargers. Outside, Bodine to the outside, trying to come around the three of McLaughlin. They're side by side, going down into one. McLaughlin holds the low groove. Bodine on the outside. Jamie Tomato looking for the fast way around, and Bodine, after testing him out, has to set back in second. Goes right back to the outside. Down the front straightaway, Brett Bodine in the Sherry Cup number 12. Your leaders are running 19 seconds flat. A little puff of smoke this time from the three of Mike McLaughlin. Bodine on the outside. Jamie Tomato just waiting for a break, looking for which way to go. Brian Ross right there, fourth, and Jan Leedy filling out the top five. Into the corner, Bodine trying to inch ahead. Finally gets about a half car length on Mike McLaughlin. McLaughlin battles back in the low groove. Going down into turn three. Bodine takes over the lead solidly now. McLaughlin running in second. Jamie Tomato falls into third. Brian Ross is fourth, and Jan Leedy runs fifth. Doug Hewitt still in the number 6 spot. Joe Mamolino running 7th. Roger Treichler is 8th. Don Pratt 9th. Chet Bennett fills out the top 10. Then you got Ronnie Shepard, Charlie Jarzombek, and George Brunholzl in that order behind him. Tomato now has Brian Ross on the outside. Brian Ross, he gets by Chet Bennett. Bennett falling out of the top 10. The battle for third. Brian Ross takes it away. Brian Ross in the number 69, the courtesy Chrysler machine. Tires going to play a part in this race in that order. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th running bumper to bumper. 62 of Don Pratt running in 9th. Ronnie Shepard is 10th. In the 34, the number 5 of Charlie Jarzombek is now running 11th, and Shepard takes it to the pits. 34 of Ronnie Shepard coming into the pits, and here is Brian Ross. Brian Ross trying to have a big weekend on the outside. He got the win Friday night at Stafford. Started 25th in his own modified, the number 73. And now here today takes the high road around Mike McLaughlin to move into second. Brett Bodine the leader. Brian Ross running second. McLaughlin now third. Jan Leedy has taken over fourth, and look at that battle for fifth. Jamie Tomato, Joe Mamolino, Roger Treichler, and Doug Hewitt. Hewitt on the outside as Tomato has a problem with Brian Ross now going for the lead. Ross on the Ross running second. Mike McLaughlin right there third. Jan Leedy fourth. Doug Hewitt has taken over fifth. Roger Treichler running sixth. Joe Mamolino coming down the front straightaway. A three-car battle for the lead. Jan Leedy all alone in fourth, and then a three-car battle for fifth. Charlie Jarzombek trying to make up some lost ground. He's got Chet Bennett and George Brunholzl behind him. As Jarzombek gets back up into the top 10, he is running in 8th right now. Brett Bodine still running 18.9. So Bodine may have a problem. He has slowed down 0.3 of a second in the last 3 laps. Bodine slowing slightly in the number 12, but still managing to set the pace. Bodine out in front, 69. Brian Ross running second. He is pressing hard for the lead. Brett Bodine out in front. Ross running second. There's another puff of smoke out of the engine of the number 3. Mike McLaughlin, he is running third in the 3. Jan Leedy, the 85, is still fourth. 52, Doug Hewitt running fifth. 74, Roger Treichler is sixth. Here's McLaughlin. He's back underneath Ross. Down in the corner, Brian Ross on the outside. Mike McLaughlin down low. And McLaughlin trying to retake second. Brett Bodine setting the pace out in front. About 0.2 of a second slower than he was earlier. Running 18.8s, 18.9s now. But still hanging on to the lead. McLaughlin and Brian Ross side by side in a battle for second. And right there behind him, the 85 of Jan Leedy. So the front 4 cars, bumper to bumper and side by side. Another 18.8 for Brett Bodine as he has a clear track ahead of him. No slower cars inside McLaughlin. Finally, he back there fourth. And you got another good battle back in the field. The 52 of Doug Hewitt trying to hang on to 5th. Roger Treichler 6th. Joe Mamolino left on the track. The 93, Tony Jankowiak running in the number 12 spot. Fred Bodine, 43 laps down now, 32 to go. Bodine running consistently around the 18.8, 18.9 mark. The number 5 of Jarzombek pushing badly down here in turn number 1. The car just hard to control in the corners. But the number 12 of Bodine, the 3 of Bennett and George Brunos will continue their unstoppable race for 9th. With Bennett hanging on to the spot, Brunosel in 10th. Here goes Brian Ross again to the outside of Mike McLaughlin. McLaughlin hanging on, though, in the number 3. He hangs on to 2nd. Now they're coming up on slower cars. The passing flag for Tony Jankowiak. We'll see what happens now. It's the first time they've run into traffic. 18.6 for Bodine. So he's still capable of cranking off the quick ones. Bodine out in front. McLaughlin 2nd. Brian Ross 3rd. Passing flag for Jankowiak. He pulls down low, gets out of the way as Bodine slides to the outside with an 18.7. McLaughlin running in 2nd. Here's Brian Ross. He tries to pin McLaughlin, but Magic Shoe says no way and forces himself right into the number 2 spot in the outside groove. Passing flag now for Tom Forgione as Jan Leedy works to put a lap on Tony Jankowiak. Roger Treichler remains out for Forgione as the leaders close in on him. Here's Brian Ross again to the outside of Mike McLaughlin. Brett Bodine hanging on to the lead. McLaughlin running 2nd. Brian Ross is 3rd. And your front 3 cars you can cover with a blanket. Brian Ross trying to force the number 3 of McLaughlin down low as they once again come up on a slower car. Ross solidly alongside McLaughlin down the back straightaway. Slower traffic ahead. Brett Bodine out in front. Brian Ross running 2nd. McLaughlin right there 3rd. Here comes the leaders, the slower car. What happens here? Ross takes over 2nd. He used the lap car to get by Mike McLaughlin as Bodine cranks off an 18.69. Brett Bodine continues to run strong out in front. 22 laps remaining now as Bodine sets the pace out in front. But Brian Ross works him on the high side. The Curtis and Chrysler Wayne will be trouble. Chet Bennett and George Brunos will have run side by side for about 30 laps now. And right now they've got coming up on them the number 12 of Bodine, the 69 of Brian Ross, and the 3 of McLaughlin. Brunozel pulls down low. Your leaders go to the outside. Bodine cranks off another 18.69. Brunozel stays low. Bodine forces the issue on the outside. They come around, the car running 10th. The 08 of George Brunozel. The passing flag stays out for Chet Bennett. Bennett in the number 95, running in 9th. Down the back straightaway. Bodine on the outside. Steps lightly alongside the 95 of Chet Bennett. Off that 4th corner down the front straight. 17 laps remaining. Bodine out in front, another 18.77. A puff of smoke now out of the 69 of Brian Ross. Test him on the outside. Bodine has enough, though, and stays out in front. Brett Bodine looking for the win. I believe it would be his biggest ever payday. $3,000 going to the winner. They are moving up now on Charlie Jarzombek in the Ernie Wilsberg, car number 5 with 15 laps to go. It's just a heat race away right now. Bodine out in front. Brian Ross running 2nd. Mike McLaughlin is 3rd. The passing flag for Jarzombek. Hill underneath again. McLaughlin back underneath Brian Ross, but down the front straight. Ross tucks it back in. Ross back out in the number outside. Again, he can't hold it out there as Brett Bodine sets the pace. Down now with 11 laps to go. Bodine out in front with an 18.63. So the speeds, if anything, are getting just a little bit quicker. Bodine out in front. Brian Ross running 2nd. Here's Ross to the outside again. And again, McLaughlin looks to tuck a wheel underneath. Look for the slingshot. Ross tried a slingshot. Brett Bodine couldn't do it. Bodine with an 18. In sixth, I believe, is Doug Hewitt. And your leaders right now putting the lap on. Seventh place, Joe Mammolito. So 6 cars are running in the lead lap. But it is Brett Bodine as they move up on the 52 of Doug Hewitt. Passing flag out again for Tony Jankowiak and for Hewitt. But Hewitt takes up a lot of track. This could be problems with 4 laps to go. Bodine goes to the outside. Hewitt sets down Wolf, hangs in there. Bodine is by. Ross is by. McLaughlin is through there. Passing flag out again for Jankowiak. Down the front straight. 3 laps to go. Brett Bodine looking for his first ever Oswego win. Turns in an 18.7 that time around. And at the end of the race, the strongest car on the track is the leader. The number 12 of Brett Bodine. 2 laps to go. 2 more times around, and Bodine out in front in the Sherry Cup 12, another 18.5. 18.5 for Bodine. 69. Brian Ross trying to hang on to second. As they come down, the white flag is out. Brett Bodine looking for his first ever Oswego win at 18.59. Bodine out in front. He's on his way to the win. Brian Ross running second. Mike McLaughlin is third. Coming down, the checkered flag is ready, and Brett Bodine gets the win. Bodine is first ever at Oswego. Brian Ross is second. McLaughlin finishes third. Roger Treichler across in fourth. And Wolf Gianlini with a flat tire right here at the end. Lead, how about a great head from Brett Bodine? And Brett Bodine out, the congratulations of his crew. We're going to get Brett in the Oswego Speedway pace car. His wife giving him a big hug. His first ever Oswego win. The biggest payday of his career, I am pretty sure. $3,000. A fellow that I have seen come up through the ranks from the street stocks back at Chargin Speedway half a dozen years ago has come a long way since then. Picks up $3,000 for the win, $1,000 more when he returns on June 30th for the Independence 150. So a $4,000 day, his first ever win at Oswego. Brett Bodine
Continues down at the start-finish line, Roy. Brett's wife joining him for the ride around the fast 5/8 of a mile. The entire Sherwood Racing crew on the Red Barn Radiator, Precision Auto, Billy Carrazzo Sherry Cup Pontiac gathered around. Brett Bodine with the trophy, the champagne, the Pabst, and of course the B.R. DeWitt concrete jacket and hat, I may add. And we're just waiting one more second until I get a cue from Brett. How about this one?
I'll tell you, it's great. You know, the car just ran so good all day. You know, I knew Brian and them guys was real tough, you know, and I just wanted to run hard enough to stay ahead of them. And then the last 9 laps, I think y'all saw, I just pulled away because I had a lot left, and I just wanted to save it for the end. This place is noted to be hard on tires, and I just wanted to make sure I had good rubber at the end, and away we went.
Well, it looked like the Sherry Cup machine just performed flawlessly, and despite the best efforts of Mike McLaughlin and the others, there just wasn't any room there.
I'll tell you, the car was great. Like I said, the guys did a super job getting the car ready. We weren't really going that well in warm-ups, and we made a pretty good chassis change, and boy, hooked the car right up. And there in the heat race, Billy Griffin looked like he would be tough. You know, it's hard to see him get wrecked over there. Him and I are real good friends, but and the car just was great. I'll tell you, I finished second to Richie here, and I always wanted to win here, and now I got it.
Well, on behalf of VP Racing Fuels and Pabst and Richard's Wild Irish Rose Wine, the Oswego Speedway, B.R. DeWitt Concrete, and a partridge in a pear tree, congratulations, Diane. You must be pretty happy.
Shaking like a leaf, more like it.
Shaking like a leaf and smiling the way she should. That probably is another can of Coca-Cola. We're allowed to mention them also down here. And there's the champagne. One of your good friends grabbed that. We'd like to get Bill Carrazzo to come over too. We'd like to get a couple of words with him if we could. I don't want to get too wet, Brett. I got another race to work, you know. And Bill, this has got to be a good feeling for you.
Oh yeah, we've been waiting a long time for here.
Well, it seems like both the Bodines have now seen success on the Fast 5/8s. But it took the Sherry Cup Pontiac to get the job done today. The car, according to Brett, ran flawlessly.
Oh yeah, ran good all day.
Well, we want to congratulate you, and again, Diane and Brett as well. The entire crew deserves this.
Down up in the tower area with us tonight. We've got in the VIP tower the budget rent-a-car people. On in the 52, the Black Magic car of Doug Hewitt. Bruce Lee brings him on, throws the green. First lap underway. Brunholzl off the outside pole, moves out in front. Forgione follows him through on the high side. Look at him go on the outside of Rotunda. Hewitt moves into again behind Rotunda, running back in 7th out of a qualifying spot as they come down to complete lap number 1. Forgione heads to the inside of the track as Hewitt, Bodine, and Edwards all blast by him on the outside. Brunholzl out into the infield. Crouch out of the way. The rest of the field down the front chute. Brunholzl out in front of Hewitt and Bodine and Edwards. Brunholzl in the 08. Hewitt's number 52 running second. The 12 of Bodine is third, and the 48 Wayne Edwards in the number 4 spot. Tom Forgione right now running in 5th, and Jerry Cranmer up into that 6th and last qualifying spot. They're followed by S.J. Rotunda and the 57 of Bob Stevens, and Stevens now picking up the black side. Here's George Brunholzl in the 08 out of Babylon, down on the island, setting the pace. The 52, Doug Hewitt looks slow. Bodine slides to the outside. Edwards shows a wheel underneath down the back straightaway. Brunholzl runs hard on the outside. Hewitt got a wheel underneath down in turn 3, but had to back out. George Brunholzl has never won a race here at the Oswego Speedway, looking for his first win. Hewitt on the outside. Now Bodine goes way wide down in 1. Brett Bodine in the Sherry Cup number 12 on the outside, trying to move up alongside the 52 of Doug Hewitt. He pins Hewitt in behind Brunholzl. Down the front straightaway, Brunholzl hanging on to the lead. Here's Hewitt now. He's got a wheel underneath. Bodine on the outside. The 4 of them all right there together. Wayne Edwards looking for any place there's room. He is back in 4th. Brunholzl turning in a 19:15 on that last lap. Here's Bodine again to the outside. Brett Bodine in the number 12 off the corner. He's through there. Bodine grabs the lead coming down into the turn. He pushes high in turn 1, but brings it back down out in front. Bodine in the number 12, the new race leader, as Doug Hewitt goes to work on the outside of George Brunholzl. Brunholzl in the 08, Hewitt in the 52, and Hewitt now comes by Brunholzl on the outside. So Brunholzl ran hard in that number 1 spot for the first half periods. It's Bodine, McLaughlin, and Brian Ross, the 3 cars you're going to have to contend with in the modified division tonight. But Doug Hewitt running strong in second, shows a wheel underneath Bodine. Brett played a little cat and mouse in the Port City 150, running hard enough to win, but not hard enough to tire out the equipment. And that's possibly what he's doing here, just strong enough to stay in front of the 52 of Doug Hewitt. Brunholzl in 3rd, with Wayne Edwards hanging on to 4th. The checkered flag is out the wind to Brett Bodine. Bodine in the number 12 got the win. Hewitt finished 2nd, Brunholzl 3rd, Wayne Edwards 4th, Jerry Cranmer in 5th, Tom Forgione in the number 6 spot.
Is presenting a new hat, a check, and a gift certificate there. Pictures being taken. Nick out of Binghamton with a 36. Randy Hedger of Morrisville, a number 1 in a 28. Tom Richards out of Rochester, the 41. Manley Voss. Page car still on the racetrack. Lee on the starter's tower. White flag aloft. We're ready to go racing. And Bruce trying to hold them together back there. Finally puts out the green. And Tomato grabs off the early lead. A puff of smoke from one of the cars as they stay bunched right together. 6 of them make it into the feature. The rest run the consolation. top 4 will redraw, of course, for the top 12 starting spot. And Leedy right there in the number 2 spot. Bob Shannon hanging on. And Leedy in trouble. He got way out of shape there. And we're going to get a yellow as somebody blew an engine right here. Yeah. All right, the green flag is out as they round that third turn in between the corners. And Jamie Tomeno holds the lead over Jan Leedy. The 90 of Tomeno. Here's the 1 of Randy Hedger trying it on the outside. He couldn't do it. Shannon hangs on to that third spot. 6 cars move on into the feature go. Leedy having trouble in those corners. Look out. The 40 of Rod Spaulding out of shape there. Green flag is out, and we're back up to racing speed. Jamie Tomeno of Neptune, New Jersey. Morrisville up on the outside trying to work on Bob Shannon. Shannon right there in third with Randy Hedger trying to take it away. He finally gets up along, but can't get back down into the groove. And he is to be black flagged with the Lee and Candy Dolan 28. Eddie Bellinger with a lot of smoke coming from that car, and he's got it. Jamie Tomeno hangs on to that lead. Leedy right there in the number 2 spot, but Leedy unable to gain on the fast-moving Jamie Tomeno. Randy Hedger of Morrisville by himself in third. Rod Spaulding fourth, and the 90 runs into trouble. Apparently the engine letting go, and they're on their way. Tomeno catching the glimpse of that green in a hurry. Gets his foot right into it. Running second. Randy Hedger right there in third. Rod Spaulding in fourth. Manley Vosberg fifth. Jamie Tomeno leading as he took off with the number 1 spot on the green flag. And here's a battle for third now. And Rod Spaulding comes through as Hedger gets into trouble. Manley Vosberg getting underneath there. And now Hedger trying to hang on. White flag is out. Zachariah will turn. Looking at the checkered flag. Tomeno gets the win. Jan Leedy is second. Rod Spaulding third. Manley Vosberg is fourth. The 1 of Randy Hedger is fifth. And the 36 of Rick Zacharias. A car finally gets himself unbelted. There he is, Jamie Tomeno. How about a hand for him, ladies and gentlemen, out of Neptune, New Jersey. Gets the gift certificate. Heat number 3 for the Mighty Mod squad, and here's Roy.
Starting on the Polkler, 5th row on the inside, coming up from Binghamton, the number 84 of Dave Silverdale. Silverdale in the number 84. Monaconsi, the first 4 will redraw for their starting position in the feature. Coming down, looking for the green. It's out here. Green flag to start the third modified heat, and it's Brian Ross jumping out in front of the 69. Setting in second, the 34 of Ronnie Shepard. Battling it out for third down the back straightaway. Chet the Jet Bennett in the number 75, the 71 of Jim Zacharias. And Mr. Jim on the outside moves it up to third. Bennett now runs back in the number 4 spot. Here comes Don Pratt on the outside. He's running fifth. The 74 of Roger Treichler holding down the 6th and last qualifying spot. Mamalito, who had the rear axle torn out of his car during the warm-ups, moving quickly in 7th with on the outside Magic Shoes Mike McLaughlin, the number 3. Down the front straightaway, 3 abreast. They go into the turn. On the outside, Don Pratt. In the middle, Zacharias, he hangs on to third. Chet Bennett running low, moves into 4th. Pratt drops back to 5th. The 74, Roger Treichler in 6th. Your leaders, the 69 of Brian Ross and the 34 of Ronnie Shepard, pulling away from the rest of the field. Zacharias holding everybody at bay behind him. He's in 3rd. Don Pratt running 4th. 75, Chet Bennett. 74, Roger Treichler, the number 3 of Mike McLaughlin in the 31 and Joe Mamalito. 6 cars all trying for those last 4 qualifying spots. 4 laps down, 8 remaining. A battle out in front for the lead as well with the 69 of Brian Ross and the 34 of Ronnie Shepard. Zacharias sets in 3rd, still in the number 71. Here's Shepard up to the outside. Shepard on the outside of Ross, side by side into the turn. Ronnie Shepard on the outside with 2 feature wins at Shangri-La down the back straightaway. Shepard inching out in front, but Ross closes back. Ross down low now. Shepard takes over the lead. Ronnie Shepard out in front with a rebuilt car, the number 34. He wrecked it in the warm-up. Here's Roger Treichler now. Treichler takes the high road around, and he finally gets by the 71 of Zacharias. Magic Shoes, Mike McLaughlin rides the high road. He takes it with 7 laps down, 5 remaining. Your leader running 18-7. The fast in the number 4 spot. Running 5th, it is still the 71 of Jim Zacharias. But here's Don Pratt up to the outside. Pratt in the 62, trying to move up a notch. He is in the last qualifying spot right now. Back in the rear of the field, Dave Silverdale and Jim Jeffers. As Shepard closes ground on him, Shepard 1869. 1869. He's got the Dickinson Automotive Doug Speed Shop Magic 34 dialed in. Brian Ross running in 2nd. They come down, the passing flag for the cars ahead of them. 2 laps to go. 2 more times around, and Shepard with an 1864. Brian Ross still running 2nd. The battle for 3rd, Treichler and McLaughlin. 5th is still Jim Zacharias, and in 6th, Don Pratt, Chet Bennett, and Joe Mamalito. Shepard on the outside takes the white flag as he puts a lap on Silverdale and Jeffers. Brian Ross in that number 2 spot. Treichler and going to the number 34, the Magic 34 of Ronnie Shepard. Finishing 2nd, it's Brian Ross. Roger Treichler across in 3rd. Mike McLaughlin finishes 4th. Jim Zacharias joins his son in the feature. He is 5th, and Don Pratt across in 6th. Chet Bennett, Joe Mamalito, Lee Bray, Jim Jeffers. Win. Here comes his father, Bob, down on the track. Kenny Finch coming down, one of his crewmen. As they come out of the car, picking up the win. How about a nice hand for Ronnie Shepard? Shepard picks up the Morabito Auto hat, the gift certificate from Morabito Auto in Oswego, Fulton, and Wolcott. And, of course, the photos will be taken. Ron has to adjust the hat size just a little bit, get the hair out of the eyes. His perm is gone away with all that heat in the car, of course.
Start to pick it up now, Rotunda. And Chet Bennett, here they come. Green flag is out. And Chet Bennett goes out into the lead in the 75. Joe Mamalito back there now. Eddie back in that number 4 spot. And he comes around Rotunda to take over 3rd. Darrell Lewis in the number 4 spot. 75, Chet Bennett, as they beat Eddie Bellinger. Lee Bray up in 5th. S.J. Rotunda running now in that last qualifying spot. S.J. trying to hang in there. Mammalito riding the high side, and look out. He tried to pin Chet Bennett behind the last car. Couldn't do it. Bennett forced his way out of that trap, and Chet Bennett hangs on to the lead. Mammalito right there in the number 2 spot now. Darrell Lewis back in the number 5 spot, and Rotunda hangs on to 6. Dave Silvernail just out of the money. And this time, Mammalito finds the power with a big puff of smoke there. We've got a yellow as Eddie spins in his own oil. Blown it. Getting a puff. Rich Goldstein is over there trackside. Let's go down.
On here in the turn, the 28 letting go Eddie Bellinger out of the car, and he is okay. Eddie walking around under his own power, and a lot of fluid coming down from the car. The flare still just coming out of the...
Bump flag is out. Joe Mammalito in the lead. Libre, whoa, and Bennett just turns hard right and into the wall. He really hammered it back there. Rich Goldstein over there tracks up the green. Libre right there now in the number 2 kit. Checkered flag is out. The win to Mammalito. Libre is second. S.J. Rotunda third. Darrell Lewis fourth. Silvernail in 5th spot. And
For effort, how about a great hand for Joe Mammalito? The 52 of Doug Hewitt back to the chief starter here at the Oswego Speedway. We'll be flagging the super modified race. Merck taking care of the Mod Squad as they go down into turn 1. 52 Hewitt, the 34 of Shepard, scuffing tires up in the corner. McLaughlin, they start to pick it up ever so slowly now. Bill Merkling brings them on off the corner. Green flag is out here. Beautiful start for the modifieds. Down in turn 1, it's the 52 of Hewitt on the inside. The 34 trying to come around. The 52 of Hewitt down the front straightaway, completing lap number 1. The first lap leader is Doug Hewitt. He drifts wide down to the corner. Bodine tries to get a wheel underneath. Down the bird on the outside. Bodine digs deep down low off the corner. Doug Hewitt still out in front in the number 52. Now Shepard solidly into second. Bodine dumps the wheel underneath but can't get through. Has to drop back into the number 2 spot. Brian Ross, meanwhile, runs back around 9th, trying to move up through traffic. Ross in the number 69. Finished second here to Bodine in the Port City race. Again, Hewitt drifts wide in the corner, but neither Shepard nor Bodine fast, but Bodine hangs on to 3rd. Down the front straightaway on the outside, McLaughlin continues to work on the 12. Here's Hewitt again wide. Shepard this time has the wheel underneath, but Hewitt running second. Shepard again sets in behind the 52. In 3rd, it's Mike McLaughlin. Brett Bodine 4th, Roger spot. And in 10th, it's the 85 of Jan leading. Followed by 8, faster than he ran in the heat race. That's what the 52 of Doug Hewitt is turning now. And he comes back with an 18.67. Doug Hewitt out in front of the outside. He wants to give it a run. But again, the 52 of Hewitt has more power down the straight. Hewitt, though, drifts wide in the turns. Shepard again looks low underneath him, but again can't get through. Mike McLaughlin tightens up in the number 3 spot. One car going right away. Ronnie Shepard this time looks like he may be through there. Shepard now takes over the number 1 spot, but Hewitt battles back on the outside. They got a slower car ahead. Shepard solidly in the number 1 spot, and now Mike McLaughlin digs down underneath Shepard, but has to back out of the corner as they came up on a slower car. McLaughlin has a wheel underneath Hewitt. He works on the number 2 spot. Dave Silvernail, a lap car now, the number 84. Ronnie Shepard out in front. Magic Shoes, Mike McLaughlin running second. Hewitt back in 3rd, but Brett Bodine challenges him for that spot, and Bodine takes it away. They're moving up on the 03 of S.J. Rotunda. Shepard, McLaughlin, Bodine, Hewitt, and Treichler. They reward Brunholzl. Passing flag out for Rotunda. Shepard way wide down here in the turn. McLaughlin gets a wheel underneath Ronnie, pins him behind the slower car. Your leaders on that last lap, 18:68. 18:68 as Ronnie Shepard, with 14 laps now completed, runs out in front of Mike McLaughlin. Brett Bodine on the outside runs third. The 52, Doug Hewitt is fourth, the 74. Roger Treichler fifth. McLaughlin punches Shepard in the tail down the back straightaway. Through the turns, the first 5 stay bumper to bumper. Down into turn 1, that's the way they go. Ivan Chan leading. Rounds out the top 10 with Vecchio next in line. Here's McLaughlin. He's down low. Shepard slams the door shut in the corner with an 18-8. As Bodine goes to the outside. Brett Bodine in the Sherry Cup. Number 12, look at that move. McLaughlin went to the outside and Bodine tucked it in down low. Down the front straightaway. A slower car ahead again. McLaughlin on the outside. Bodine down low. They're up on the 84 to Silvernail to put another lap on him. They step lightly by like heck they do. They keep it to the floor. Going by the 84, 3 wide between 3 and 4. Moving in now on a pack of slower cars. Ronnie Shepard continues to hold off McLaughlin and Bodine. 18 laps down in the 75-lap feature go. Here's Bodine. He's got a wheel underneath Shepard. Bodine had a wheel underneath but had to back out. Look at this, 3 wide, the slower cars down the front straight. Shepard taking up a lot of track trying to hang on to the lead, but McLaughlin on the outside running him down. He'll try to pin him in behind a slower car. Down into turn 3. McLaughlin on the outside. Shepard on the inside. Passing flag is out for 3 cars ahead of them. McLaughlin now trying to pin Shepard in behind. He can't do it. Shepard takes him to the outside and Bodine back up underneath, moves back into second. Brett Bodine in the Sherry Cup, number 12, takes second away from Magic Shoes Mike McLaughlin. The passing flag stays out for Lee Bray and Chet Bennett. 21 laps down, your leaders running 19 seconds flat. They go to the outside of Bray and Bennett. It's a 5-car freight train between the turns, off the corner, down the front straight. Magic Shoes Mike McLaughlin trying to retake second from Brett Bodine. Bodine now working on the 34 of Ronnie Shepard as McLaughlin again tucks a wheel underneath. Bodine on the outside. Once again, they're moving in on slower traffic. Bodine on the outside, way wide. McLaughlin gets a wheel back underneath. Mike McLaughlin retakes second from Brett Bodine. Hewitt tucks a wheel underneath. Here goes Treichler to the outside. 5 cars bumper to bumper, side by side. And Ronnie Shepard continues to set the pace. Coming up again on Silvernail. And again they pinch McLaughlin to the outside. Hewitt goes by Bodine and McLaughlin to take over second. Hewitt went by Bodine and McLaughlin to move to the number 2 spot. The yellow flag is out of 5 cars all going at it, hammer and tong.
And here we are, set to go. Back under green, and that was a welcome respite out there for these drivers. Green flag back out there, and Shepard's on his way. Out comes a 25, but a yellow coming out in a hurry is out there. And bumper to bumper, they restart, coming down the line with the track clean and ready. Out in front, and Mike McLaughlin pulling to the outside. McLaughlin trying Shepard on the outside, and now Bodine jams up underneath, trying to fill the hole. It's still Shepard in the lead, coming on down. And look at little Mike, Magic Shoes, battering his way up on the inside. McLaughlin in the Len Bowler number 3. Trying for that lead now. He's got Shepard up on the outside. But Shepard with plenty of power stays right with him. Brett Bodine back there in third. The 52 running in at number 4 spot. Treichler back there 5th. And Ron Shepard not to be outdone. He's still got his nose out there, but little Mike coming on. Mike McLaughlin takes the lead now. And Brett Bodine follows him right through there, trying to fill it up, trying to keep Shepard on the outside. Shepard now back in third, and Hewitt now. Hewitt right there trying to fill a hole. Doug Hewitt down the back straightaway. Trying to fill that hole, trying to keep Shepard out there, but he couldn't do it. Shepard settles back into third. Number 5 spot held by Roger Treichler. Treichler eyeing that high groove now. He may go out there. Rod Treichler. Here's Hewitt. Hewitt looking for that number 3 spot. He's got Shepard up on the outside now. 31 laps complete. Into heavy traffic. Brett Bodine chasing Mike McLaughlin. The 34 of Shepard right there third. Doug Hewitt running 4th. At 3rd spot. The Lynn Bowler number 3 with Mike Magic Shoes McLaughlin in the lead down the back straightaway. Brett Bodine, winner of the Port City event, still waiting for little Mike to make any mistake whatsoever. Ronnie Shepard a tight third, Doug Hewitt 4th. Treichler in the number 5 spot, and they go at it lap after lap here. Everybody looking for room. 35 laps down. A number 2 spot. Ron Shepard 3rd, Doug Hewitt 4th. And Bodine now putting the pressure on Mike. Silverdale being black flagged as your leaders come up on him in a hurry. The 84 being black flagged. Mark now, headed for home and the $3,000 first place money. Magic Shoes in the lead over Bodine and Shepard. Ronnie back there 3rd, Doug Hewitt 4th. Treichler still in 5th. And Jamie Tomeno running in the number 6 spot. 6 cars, bumper to bumper. Well, it's never over until Shepard, but he couldn't. We're back up to racing speed. As Mike McLaughlin pours the coal to it. Bodine right there in the 48. And he does make it into the back pit gate. And he's moving well. McLaughlin, your leader. Brett Bodine, 2nd. 44 laps down here. Brett Bodine running strong. The 08 and 69 now. Ross doing battle for that 3rd spot. And Brian running hard on the outside. Brian Ross coming on now. He's looking for that third spot. And he's got it. The 08 falling back to fourth. Leedy running from third, trying to reel him in now. Brian Ross with plenty of time left here. Brett Bodine running a tight second to Magic Shoes. They've still got a relatively clear track ahead as they complete 50 laps. 2/3 of this race complete. Magic Shoes, Mike McLaughlin leading Brett Bodine through the turn. And here now to take you the rest of the way home, here's Roy.
And McLaughlin managing to hold on to about a 3-car length lead over Brett Bodine as Brian Ross has closed up on them. He's about 5 car lengths back. Ross on the outside, past the slower car, closes right up tight behind Bodine. Bodine just a collapse down, 18 to go, and it's a 3-car battle to the end with McLaughlin, Bodine, and Ross bumper to bumper. Brian Ross now looking to work on Bodine as Brett goes to the outside of the number 3 down the front straightaway. Bodine sets back in. On behind, Bodine tightens back up in the corners. Slides a little bit in turn 3. Ross looks down low, coming down the front straight. No room down there, now goes to the outside. Brian Ross looking to the outside of Brett Bodine as your leader runs 18:62. 18:62 for McLaughlin. Magic Shoes with one super modified win here at Oswego. Now looking for a modified victory, his first ever. Bodine running in the number 2 spot. He's Port City race. And the 69 of Brian Ross back there third after a couple of very tough seconds at Oswego. He's still looking for his first ever feature win. Slower cars ahead, the 36 of Zacharias and the 71 of Zacharias. So Mr. Jim, after running in the top 10, has mechanical problems. He looks to be headed for the pits. Your leaders fly by him on the outside. Zacharias down low, heads into the rear pit gate entrance. McLaughlin now feels the pressure from Ross. Slower cars ahead, Rotunda and Rick Zacharias. S.J. Rotunda in the 03, the 36 of Rick Zacharias. They set down low and your leaders go to the outside. Bumper to bumper, they roar by. First the 03 and now the 36. So they put another lap on Rick Zacharias and S.J. Rotunda, never letting off the pace at all. Another lap of 19, a little bit slower the last 2 laps, but still the hammer down all the way around. Mike McLaughlin out in front, Brett Bodine second, Brian Ross third, a dozen more times around. Down off the corner, looking at a clear track ahead as Brian Ross looked underneath Bodine, that time down the front straight. 18:75, clear of traffic. They're going at 18.7s again. Bodine has fallen a couple of car lengths off the pace, and Brian Ross putting a lot of pressure on the Sherwood Industries number 12, but he can't find the way by as McLaughlin opens up a bit of an advantage. That lap at 18:69. The Magic Shoes, Mike McLaughlin out in front in the bowler number 3. Roger Trackler, meanwhile, continues to pick up ground, but a long way to go and virtually little chance without a caution flag of catching up. Here's Ross. He's got Bodine on the inside, coming up on a slower car, but Bodine forces his way back out. So Brett hangs on to the number 2 spot. McLaughlin out in front. Magic Shoes, Mike McLaughlin coming down with 8 laps to go. McLaughlin, the race leader in the number 3. The 12 of Bodine is second. 69, Brian Ross running third. 08, George Brunhosel is fourth. The 85, Jan Leedy fifth. Tom Forgione in sixth. Roger Trackler now seventh. Rod Spalding running in eighth. And Jerry Cranmer ninth. Joe Mamalito 10th. Your leaders put a lap on Chet Bennett. Whoa, Brian Ross out of shape in the corner. Came awfully close to losing control, but powers out of it. Hangs on to the number 3 spot. Your leaders running 18.8 as Roger Trackler tries to pick up ground. He's a half lap behind. Needs a caution flag desperately with 6 laps to go. It's still the number 3, Mike McLaughlin, hanging on in front. 2 car lengths back to 12 of Bodine. 2 more back to 69 of Brian Ross. 18-7 that last lap. Now 5 more times around. 5 laps to go. And it's McLaughlin out in front. Bodine, and this is where he's got to make a move at the 3 of McLaughlin. They've got slower cars ahead. The 1 of Vecchio, the 31 of Mamolino. They close in on him. They're both running in the top dozen cars, closing in on them with 4 laps to go. McLaughlin turning laps of 18.6s. 18.66 the last time around for McLaughlin. Bodine and Ross, identical time, staying right with him. With now 3 to go, another lap of 18.64. And McLaughlin giving no ground to Brett Bodine. But now they're moving in on several slower cars, running side by side ahead of them. A lot of heavy traffic. The passing flag is out for Rotunda, Mamolino, Vecchio, and Zacharias with 2 laps to go. That last lap, 18.61. Down the back straight through traffic. McLaughlin is the quicker as he picks up ground. Bodine tries to close in. The yellow flag is out. Yellow out down the back straightaway. And whoa! Roger Trankler just absolutely railed the car sitting back there. The driver climbing out, I believe, it was Jan Leedy. Jan Leedy spun coming off the second corner. He is out of his car. He is okay, but he got absolutely nailed by Roger Trankler. Coming off the corner, Bodine swings to the outside, but McLaughlin hangs on out there. McLaughlin out in front. Here's Cranmer tucking the wheel up underneath. Spaulding trying to pick up a spot. Down the back straightaway, lap and a half to go. McLaughlin out in front. Here's Brian Ross getting the wheel underneath Bodine. He backs out down in the turn. Bodine hangs on to second. The white flag up now. Brett Bodine trying to work on the 3 of McLaughlin and hold off the 69 of Brian Ross. Down through the turn. McLaughlin out in front. Bodine and Ross running second and third. As they go into turn 3, Ross right in behind Bodine. Now he slides a little bit in the corner. Checkered flag is out. The win goes to Mike McLaughlin. McLaughlin gets the win. Bodine second. Finishing third is Brian Ross, and whoa, with the win. His first ever modified victory here at the Oswego's. First ever modified victory. How about a great hand for Mike McLaughlin? And we'll put the Morabito hat on McLaughlin as he heads into the pace car for the ceremonial lap around the track. Get a chance to wave the flag. And
Morabito Auto representative, Bob, take it away.
Mike, we want to congratulate you and your crew on a fine job here and hope to see you here again in the winner's circle.
Thank you very much. Well, I got to thank Lenny Bowler. He's the one that put the car, on the racetrack. All I do is turn the wheel. If it wasn't for Lenny and the crew, and all the people behind me.
One more lap here. Coming slow around that turn. Bruce Lee looking him over. Now he's got the green out there. And look at this move by Billy Griffin. Billy jumps off on the inside. He took pole sitter Larry Nye, and now they're in fourth after just 1 lap. It's Doug Hewitt, the leader. Billy Griffin, TJ Toyota, 69. 6 cars move into the feature, the rest relegated to the Consi. In the 52, hangs on to a slim lead over Billy Griffin. Billy right there second and trying to reel him in is Brian Ross of Boston Spa. He's closing the gap. That's for the 91 of Dick Shear. And it looks like it may be fuel. It looks like it might be a fuel leak there for Dick Shear. And And look at this Brian Ross now. Ross has taken over second. He's got Brian Ross working on Doug Hewitt now. He got by Billy Griffin. And now looking for the lead. Drouar running fourth. First four will redraw, we should say. So it's important to be in that top four. And back straightaway, and the win is going to go to Doug Hewitt, the 52. Brian Ross picking up second. Tom Drouar third. And I don't know, we'll let the scorers call it. No. Doug picking up the checkered flag. How about a hand?
Catches the white flag, throws his hand in the air to signal the guys behind him. 1 lap to go. Rick Coyle up on the pole with Darrell Lewis alongside. On it just a little bit. Ready to come off the corner. Keep your eye on the 3 of McLaughlin, the 12. As look at this, Lewis gets out of the way. Rick Coyle goes out in front. Lewis way high on the 1. The 98 of Jim Jeffers out of shape going into 2. They string out by him, running second. Mike McLaughlin up to the number 3 spot. Coyle down low down the front chute. McLaughlin swings by him in the high groove. Bob Stevens and Jim Jeffers both having mechanical Jeffers going down the back straightaway. And right now, Stevens just heading into the back straightaway. McLaughlin on the outside takes over the lead. Here comes Bodine. Brett Bodine on the outside now, up to the outside of the 10 of Lewis as Brunholzl slides a wheel underneath. The 10 of Lewis in trouble between the turns. Bodine the battle for second now. Bodine up on the outside. Bodine now takes over second. Brunholzl follows him through in the high groove to move into third. Darrell Lewis now running in fourth. Tom Porgione is fifth. The 72 of around. Bodine in the Sherry Cup number 12 trying to close the gap. He and McLaughlin in third. Tom Porgione, the number 50, back there fourth at 10 of Darrell Lewis in the number 5 position. Down the front chute, 3 laps to go. The potential win here. He'd like to show McLaughlin he can pass him in the heat race. Give him something to think about for the feature. Now 2 laps to go. And after Tom Porgione, here's the white flag. One more time around. McLaughlin out in front and 18-9 that time. And McLaughlin picks up a 10th on the lead. McLaughlin out in front of the number 3. The Sherry Cup 12 of Brett Bodine running in second. The 08 of George Brunholzl is third. Here's the checkered flag. Bodine right there slides the wheel down low. Not enough time. He settles for second. Magic Shoes. Mike McLaughlin gets the win. Brett Bodine finishing second. George Brunholzl third. The winner of modified heat number 2. How about a hand for Magic Shoes? Mike McLaughlin. Mighty Mike walked into the chest of one of his crewmen there. Gets down to have the photos taken. The Dr. Pepper being presented. The photos now being taken with Rhea and without.
Charlie Jarzombek and Brian Horn. All right, picking up speed. Here they come off the corner. Green flag out there. And Jarzombek grabs the lead. Charlie out of Baiting Hollow, Long Island. And he is scampering down the back straightaway, trying to open it up. Randy Hedger into second spot. Brian Horn back there third. Rod Streichler running fourth. Joe Mamalito back in the number 5 spot. And well out in front now, Jarzombek really honking. Bentley Warren trying to come on. He's back there running in 6th. And Benny's got a wheel underneath, looking for that number 5 spot. Remember, the top 4 redraw for position. Jarzombek, your leader, with Randy Hedger right there second. Brian Horn running third, and Rod Streichler in 4th. 77. The 47. There. They're running 5th and 6th. It right now means that Warren would start 18th in the feature field. Jarzombek, one of the top Long Island runners, out in the lead over the one of Randy Hedger. To go. Brian Horn hangs on to 3rd. The 74 now. Rod Treichler moving underneath. And Bentley Warren has moved into 5th. White flag is out. Roger Treichler moving up there into 3rd. Now Bentley Warren coming underneath Brian Horn in the last lap. That'll move him into 4th, and a drawing position. Checker is out. The wind is Jarzombek. 2nd to Randy Hedger. And Charlie Jarzombek coming out of the car. Charlie's had some tough luck here at the Big O. And maybe this is the one that will change all of that. Ria Lazaro coming down to present Charlie with the Dr. Pepper. To the straightaway. The 36 of Rick Zacharias right there. Oh, and look out, a long slide by the 03. Ed Steppenhagen and it takes him a minute to spot it. Finally, Zacharias gets his foot into it. Jim Jeffers of Williamson. And he moves right back up into the number 4 spot. So they'll try to get him in the back. The 73 of Sun. And Rotunda gets the wheel underneath the 42 of Larry Nuff. He's diving low, and he takes that number 2 spot away. Jeffers running 2nd, but he gets wide and circling. Checker is out, and Rick Zacharias comes away the winner. The 03, S.J. Rotunda.
In the 10, outside in that 7th row, outside. The number 28, the Lee and Candy Dolan owned GP Community 75 feature laps for the modifieds. Billy Griffin and Tommy Druar up in that front row. Druar, a long-time modified competitor, really just coming into his own the last couple of years. 3rd row, picking up the pace. Here's the green from Merkling. Down the front straightaway. Griffin stays down low. Druar has to stay on the outside. They fly it on the outside. Ross trying to move quickly on the outside as Roger Treichler digs deep in the corner, trying to move up from the number 5 position. Down the front straightaway. Still side by side, the 18 of Billy Griffin inching out in front. Drouar running second. Here's Doug Hewitt. Hung up on the outside. Brian Ross forces his way down to the low groove. They've got Drouar hung up on the outside. Here's Brett Bodine now going to the outside. Down the back straightaway. Billy Griffin out in front. Doug Hewitt running second. Mike McLaughlin third. Brian Ross already up to the number 4 spot. He started back in 9th. Chargin, Charlie Jarzombek now. Moves up to 6th behind. Now off the 4th quarter down the front straight. Completing lap number 4. A tight one here at the beginning. Billy Griffin and Doug Hewitt going at it. Here's Bodine on the outside trying to get by Brunhosel. Wayne Edwards now goes to the outside. Turned, got out of shape. Jarzombek down the front straight now getting back on it. He got out of shape in the corner. Drouar gets a wheel underneath as Ross goes to runs back there in 4th as Hewitt looks underneath Billy Griffin. Down into the first turn. Griffin, the race leader. Hewitt running in 2nd. Brian Ross is 3rd. Mike McLaughlin 4th. Charlie Jarzombek off the pace is 5th. Look at Ross. Brian Ross on the outside. Ross now sets back in 3rd. He tried to come around the high side of Doug Hewitt. Couldn't find the go out there. They're running 19 seconds. Now Hewitt looks underneath Griffin going down into 3. Has to back out. Brian Ross right there. Mike McLaughlin running 4th. Jarzombek closes back up in 5th. Down the front straight. The 18 of Billy Griffin out in front. Doug Hewitt running 2nd. Ross on the outside. McLaughlin tucks the wheel up underneath. They're side by side down the back straight. Brian Ross running that high road. Mike McLaughlin down low. Charlie Jarzombek looking for a little bit of room. Down the front straight. Billy Griffin running in lap number 10. Hewitt right on his bumper. Ross and McLaughlin side by side behind him. Jarzombek back in 5th. Tommy Drouar hangs on to 6th. Bentley Warren running in 7th. Brett Bodine right there 8th. Roger Trackler on the outside, and now your leader's coming up the slower traffic. Jarzombek is pulled to the outside, and McLaughlin in behind him. Look at this in turn 3. 3 wide through the turns, and it's still the 18 of Billy Griffin out in front. The 52 of Hewitt right behind him 2nd. Brian Ross on the outside right there with him. McLaughlin in the 3, running back in 4th. The 5 of Charlie Jarzombek is 5th. Brian Ross now up to the outside. Brian Ross to the outside of Billy Griffin. Down the front chute, you got a new leader. Brian Ross in the TJ Toyota. Courtesy Chrysler number 69 should end in this fashion, and Brett Bodine get up to 3rd. We would have a 3-way point leadership tie. McLaughlin about 2 car lengths. 52, Doug Hewitt runs 4th. The 18 of Billy Griffin 5th. 77, Bentley Warren is 6th. The 12 side of Lewis put a lap on him coming down. The 98 of Jim Jeffers about to get the black flag. He is throwing smoke again. 98 of Jim Jeffers about to get black flag for Jeffers. Larry Nye right behind him. Here's your leader, Brian Ross, moving in on the 36 of Rick Zacher on the outside. Now he goes right to the outside of Larry Nye, puts a lap on him. Meanwhile, the 98 of Jeffers has gone to the pits with a badly smoking engine. Passing flag staying out for Nye and Zacharias. Zacharias on the outside goes by Nye. Meanwhile, back in the pack, Billy Griffin has fallen off the pace. He is running in 5th. The pace and is now going to the pits. 20 laps now completed. The 69 of Brian Ross out in front. The 3 of Brian Ross. The Wayne Miller-owned car. Neither Miller nor Ross have ever won a feature here at Oswego. Looking for their first ever. 77 Bentley Warren is running in 7th. The 48 of Wayne Edwards is in the number 8 second. Charlie Jarzombek 3rd. As they head into heavier traffic, Doug Hewitt is in the number 4 spot. Filling out the top 5 is Billy Griffin, but right there.
The track is clean and the green is out. Here at number 1 spot, Brian Ross. The 3 right there in 2nd, Magic Shoes. Billy Griffin running in 5th. Brett doing an outstanding job since getting the ride in this car. Magic Shoes in the Len Bowler car also doing a great job. Got his biggest paycheck ever racing on the big 5/8 of a mile. And the 69, Brian Ross, your leader. Magic Shoes runs second. The 5 now. Charlie Jarzombek looking for that runner-up slot. Doug. And now, look out. Brian Ross easing to the outside lane. Coming around another light there in the number 2 spot. The 5, Charlie Jarzombek spot. Rides a good, steady groove. Magic Shoes, not much room to maneuver. Charlie Jarzombek stays right with him, as does the 52 of Doug Hewitt. Off the pace just slightly now. Billy Griffin, Brett Modine, and the 77 of Bentley Warren. Laps down. Coming around that lap car in the 4th corner. Hewitt now, folks. Doug Hewitt off the pace a little bit in 4th. Look out, here's Magic Shoes. Made a move in lap traffic and came underneath. Mike McLaughlin, the new leader here, puts the Len Bowler car out on top of this field. Brian Ross now running second. .18.7 that last lap. And now Jarzombek moves up to the outside. Charlie trying to take second away from the 69 of Brian Ross. Magic Shoes Mike McLaughlin, the blue number 3, in the lead for his second victory in the series. There he is, 50 laps complete. And to take you the rest of the way home, here's Roy Silva.
And right now, the fastest car on the track is the up on the outside of Brian Ross. He has to back out between the turns, gets right back up there. Ross now down low. Jarzombek on the outside, takes over second, and whoa, McLaughlin into the wall. Magic Shoes, Mike McLaughlin loses a tire and goes into the wall hard down here in turn 1. Ross, I believe, back out in front. Jarzombek running in second. It will close Brunholzl right up. And he is, as I said, the fastest car on the track. Rich Goldstein on the track safety truck just now coming down the front straightaway. Mike
McLaughlin walks away. Mike walks across the track under his own power.
28 of Eddie Bellinger also goes to the outside trying to move up. Here's your leader, the 69, Brian Ross. He would like to stay out, way to the outside between 3 and 4. Here's Brian Horn back on the track in the number. Ross down low, Jarzombek on the outside. Chargin Charlie working hard out there. Down the front chute. He stays in that high groove. Jarzombek alongside Ross. Jarzombek on the outside. Ross down low. 52, Doug Hewitt looking for a hold. 19 won that lap, and you got a new leader. Chargin Charlie. Jarzombek has moved out in front. Brian Ross now running in second. 52, Doug Hewitt is third. 18, Billy Griffin fourth. Being able to find the groove. Out in front now, the 5 of Charlie Jarzombek. He's running 18.8. 56 laps down. Here's Ross trying to get back underneath Jarzombek. Down the front straight. Chargin Charlie takes a rather erratic groove off the 4th turn, but nobody can find the way around. Jarzombek out in front, Ross second, Doug Hewitt third, Billy Griffin fourth, and Bentley Warren fifth. Wayne Edwards sixth, and George Brunholzl seventh. They are tied together with a string down the front straightaway. Bumper to bumper, the first 7 cars with 17 laps to go. Running now in lap number 5 of Jarzombek, the Ernie Wilsberg machine. The Wilsburg Electric car number 5, the Runel Electric car number 5 out in front. They are coming up on slower cars. Larry Knight and Rick Coyle stay down low. The leaders on the outside come by him in a rush. Brunholzl gets pinned out there, backs out a little bit. He was trying to pick up some ground. The front straightaway. Charlie Jarzombek, the leader, running 18.77. Brian Ross in the number 2 spot. Doug Hewitt is third in the 52. The 18 of Billy Griffin runs in the number 4 spot. And Bentley Warren, the 77, is 5th. Coming down now, the front for his first ever win here at Oswego. Doug Hewitt tried to come underneath the 69 of Brian Ross, couldn't do it. George Brunholzl, who has shown signs of being very, very fast, now working to the outside of Wayne Edwards, but can't get a bite out there. Jarzombek starting to pull away from the 69 of Brian Ross. Ross running in second. The black flag is out for Larry Nye. Rick Zacharias puts a lap on him. The 10 of Darrell Lewis also goes down a lap. Oh, Jarzombek almost drove into the back end of Lewis. Out of it now with 10 laps to go. 10 more times around, and Jarzombek looking for a very hard-fought win. Jarzombek out in front of Brian Ross. Ross in that number 2 spot. Doug Hewitt now looks underneath Ross. Hewitt tries to come underneath Ross, but no room down the front chute. Brett Bodine trying to close up from the rear. Moves to the outside to put a lap on the Barron Seafood number 36 of Rick Zacharias. Down the front chute. Jarzombek the leader. Brian Ross continues to try to hold off Doug Hewitt. Hewitt running in third, and Billy Griffin is 4th. Bentley Warren 5th. Ross. Doug Hewitt in the number 52, the Black Beauty on the outside of Brian Ross. He got him down the front straightaway. Doug Hewitt takes over second with 6 laps to go. Has he got enough time to chase down in 5th? Off the corner down the front straightaway. Charlie Jarzombek looking for his first ever win here at the Oswego Speedway. After a year, he has never won a race. The yellow flag is out. It's Brunholzl down the back straightaway. George Brunholzl spinning going into turn 4. George Brunholzl, after a great race, came out at any time. Track officials looking things over. Jarzombek got it. There's the green. Hewitt now right up tight behind him. Doug Hewitt going for the win. Hewitt to the outside. Brian Ross tightens up, running in third. Doug Hewitt looks to the outside of Jarzombek with 4 to go. Ross gets a wheel back underneath Hewitt. Down the back straightaway. Doug Hewitt on the outside. Ernie Wilsberg's number 5 with Charlie Jarzombek out in front on the inside. Brian Ross is right there with him down the front chute. They come one behind the other, setting in with Hewitt now in second. 3 laps to go, a 19-second lap. Brett Bodine moves around the 31 of Mamalito again to move back into 7th. He now goes after the stump jumper, the 48. The number 1 of Charlie Jarzombek out in front. Doug Hewitt running in second. Brian Ross is third. Billy Griffin 4th. We're on the last 2 laps. An 18.7 that last time around. Charlie Jarzombek out in front. Doug Hewitt looks at him right there. Tries to set him up, but the white flag is out one more time around. The white flag for Jarzombek. The question is, will Hewitt go for the win, or will he try to protect his flanks from Brian Ross? Hewitt pulls Ross by about 3 car lengths going into 3. Out in front, it's Jarzombek. Here's Hewitt looking to the outside. No can do. Can't do it. Jarzombek gets the win. Hewitt in second. Brian Ross third. Billy Griffin 4th. Bentley Warren in 5th. The 5 of Charlie Jarzombek getting the win. 52. Doug Hewitt finished second. 69. Brian Ross across in the number 3 spot. Here's a tough luck, hard crashes, and just plain no luck at all at times. Finally putting it all together on the National Parts Peddler Twin 75 Midsummer 150 here at the Oswego Speedway. What do you say? How about a big hand for Charlie Jarzombek? Chargin Charlie out from behind the wheel. We're going to get him behind the Oswego Speedway pace car. That is going to shake up the modified point standings unofficially. It's going to move Brian Ross into the point lead, I believe. Brett Bodine will be second. And I don't know about third with McLaughlin dropping out so early. We'll have to wait for the official point standings on that. Now we've got Jarzombek coming around with flagger Bruce Lee getting in behind the front seat of the Oswego Speedway pace car as Boyd Wallace brings them around the track. The checkered flag is out. A few more photos being taken. Presentations to be Chargin Charlie. A long time. Rio Lazaro to have the picture taken along with the number 5 and Charlie Jarzombek, the sponsor, the winner. The trophy presenter, Rich Goldstein, is standing down there. And Rich, we're going to go down to you.
Doc, come in. We're going to get Chargin Charlie right over here right now. And Corky, I think you got some magic words to say to another big feature winner here at the Speedway tonight.
Congratulations, Charlie. You've been at it a long time, and I'm glad to see you win one here at Oswego.
Thanks a lot, Corky. When I was a little kid, I used to read about this place. I never thought I'd ever make it here.
Well, not only did you make it here, but you made it here tonight. Chargin Charlie got the job done. We've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly up here, both for the 5 and for you, but tonight was your night.
Yeah, when I saw the ambulance, I said, well, at least we don't have to take a ride in that tonight.
You've been there before, I know, and you've had a couple of spills, really, but tonight things seemed to break your way, and you had the bite when you needed it.
They had it right, that's for sure.
How do you like this Wilsburg racing machine? It seems to get the job done for you.
It couldn't be better.
And what are your plans the rest of the year? Are we going to see you back here at Oswego soon?
Well, we seem to have our act a little bit together now. We're going to make every show we can.
Well, congratulations on behalf of Corky and the National Parts Peddler. And we also want to bring in Budweiser Beers rep Bill Russ. And Bill's got a case of cold Bud for you. And this is emblematic of your guaranteed starting spot in the Budweiser Modified 200 Classic Weekend here at the Oswego Speedway.
That sounds good to me.
I'm sure you'll want to take a dash at the cash, 85 grand in that one.
You better believe it.
And best of luck between now and Labor Day to you, Chargin Charlie.
Thank you very much. We'll be back.
And also, right now, we'd like to let you know about another guaranteed starting spot. And coming forward right now is Brian Spencer. And I'm going to let Brian tell his own story. And Brian, why don't you tell Chargin Charlie what he's in for?
Well, Charlie, you've just picked up a guaranteed starting spot in tomorrow's Meisenthal Motorcraft Firecracker 200 Twin 75-lap NASCAR Modified Features up at Spencer with a $24,000 purse. You are guaranteed to start. You will start in front of the Conti cars if you don't make it, which I don't think you'll have any problem. And I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate you tonight on behalf of Spencer Speedway for your win here at the National Parts Peddler Midsummer 150 at Oswego Speedway.
There you go, Charlie. How about that one? A couple of big shows tomorrow for you.
Yeah, that sounds good. We were talking about it all day today, saying, well, we'll see how we do tonight. Now, I guess they kind of made the decision for Ernie.
Well, you'll be in it at least, and I know you'll have a shot at it. Best of luck tomorrow at Spencer as well, and see you back here real soon for the Bud Mod 200.
Yeah, you take care of yourself.
Okay, and our best to Chargin Charlie Jarzombek in the Wilsburg Race